So in here we should have the latest release from Chinese watch brand San Martin. And if it's the one I think it is, this really is unlike most others, because before purchasing, you get a rather unusual choice to make that I haven't seen with any other watch brand. So I'll whip it open. We better check it is that model first, and then I'll get into it. So this is a review sample unit sent in by San Martin. So thanks to them for sending this over. You'll find an affiliate link to it in the video description if you do want to check it out for yourself. And we have the usual ancillaries in here, including the little booklet, the tags, some pretty good quality tools as well, and then also a regulation sheet, which I don't think I've seen with the majority of San Martins, if any. So perhaps they've started doing or offering this as well. And to be honest, I'm not exactly good at Chinese, so we'll leave that one for the experts, eh? But otherwise, pretty standard San Martin packaging here, not bad at all. And you'll also notice I've got a bit of a background change here as well. The previous wood-topped one was just getting absolutely destroyed because of my usage, because I also use this desk for like building PCs and stuff like that in my own time. But anyway, here is the watch in question, and wow, it is a stunner. Here it is, the SN0148. I think this version in particular is the SN0148GB, and that is significant. Now, straight out of the box, I mean, this watch is really well constructed, as is always the case with San Martin, but I really like the dial on this, and also looks a bit smaller than I was expecting. I'm pretty sure the listing says 40mm for this, but it doesn't look as big as a typical 40mm watch. Now, the standout feature of this dive watch has to be that dial. I mean, this is pretty special looking indeed. This one has like a 3D swirl effect, and really like the markers on this too. They've got like an extreme 3D effect, a bit like on some of their Jiang Hun watches, because they also operate that brand as well. But yeah, this dial has a real transition, doesn't it, from almost like a turquoise color in the center out to the blue at the edges. And here is a closer look at it. I think this thing looks excellent, actually. Now, the only element that I'm not 100% feeling is the bezel itself. Looks like a really high quality bezel here, and I bet it's got a good action too. It has a fantastic action, actually. It's got like that kind of beady lower pitch click, which I always find quite assuring. Doesn't feel tinny or anything like that. But yeah, visually, not 100% feeling the look of the bezel. I feel actually like something more vintagey would have suited this better, despite the fact that you would never really see this sort of dial effect on a vintage watch, would you? But it is quite a minimalist design other than that. Very clean markers and hands too. As you'll see if I rotate the watch, you can see it's got like nice facets on those hands and on the markers. Gives everything like an added layer of depth. The window too is also colour matched from the looks of it. But yeah, the bezel just feels a tiny bit busy compared to everything else. The effect though is undeniably impressive. Sadly though, I've just noticed after a quick look off camera here, a slight flaw with this one. So you'll notice just here by the 7 o'clock marker, there's definitely a speck of something on the dial, whether it's dust or skin or something else. It's just sat there on the dial, sadly. It's not on the crystal or anything, which is definitely frustrating, because I bet that could just be blown off, but you'd have to open the watch up to access that, which is a real shame. But it does at least show that they aren't cherry picking the units they send out to reviewers, San Martin. And it's a shame about that. The rest of this watch is really skinny, as you can see. I'll go through the full specs in a moment, but I first want to cover the biggest choice you can make with this watch, and that comes by way of this. So you'll see here, this is actually like an integrated bracelet watch, almost like a sports diver hybrid in a way. So by default, you're just left with a small hole to use this stock bracelet with, which does definitely limit you, albeit you do get more of a smooth transition. You get the look of like a big one-piece case, basically. And that's been a really big trend this past few years, but if you don't want to go down that route, you can instead basically buy a version of this watch, also titled SN0148, which just has the standard lugs, and then you can chuck whatever strap on you want, with the only other notable difference that I can see being the handset. So the other one uses like an arrow handset, so I'll put the two up side by side so you can take a look for yourself. So yeah, I think that's what you really get with the different code names. I think this one has like a GB suffix at the end, and this being the integrated one. Now, as for which I prefer, I do personally prefer the look of this one, actually. For whatever reason, I think maybe it just looks a bit more compact down here. And I also prefer the handset, I think. A bit more of a safer choice. Whereas the other one leans a bit more towards the standard diver aesthetic. But yeah, I just thought that was quite odd because I can't recall that ever being an option with another watch out there. Can you imagine if you could choose a PRX just with the standard bracelet? It feels quite odd, doesn't it? And I'd love to know in the comments, you know, if you had to get one of these, which one you would take and why. I guess the bracelet here is the more limiting of the two options. We've got a full 316L stainless steel case. And the finishing on these cases, as always, is excellent. This one has almost like a sandwich look about it, with quite a skinny mid case there, and then it sticks out a little bit on both sides. But yeah, finishing on both that and the bracelet is really, really nice. Doesn't seem like we've got any problems with the bracelet links here. Maybe this one's a tiny bit on the stiff side, but certainly not bad. And as with most San Martin watches these days, you get one of these concealed micro-adjustable clasps, which is good. It means on the fly, without tools, you can adjust the fit of the watch. I think I probably preferred their glide lock clone a little bit more than this. Then that was maybe a tad easier to use, but this is still pretty functional. And that's together with a selection of links that are already pretty small. The movement, by the way, you may have noticed the back protrudes a little bit. This is, of course, an automatic watch. And this is the Miyota 9015, which is definitely one of the go-to choices for slightly skinnier watches these days. And this watch is definitely towards the thinner side. We'll get the full measurements in a moment. Not much going on as far as decoration is concerned on this one. Just looks like a run-of-the-mill rotor as well. With this watch, you do get an advertised 20 ATM water resistance rating though. So its aquatic performance should match its looks. And that also comes with a full screw-down crown as well, as I found out a moment ago. Really great action actually on that. So one click out will adjust the date wheel there, and then the second click out will adjust the hands. And yeah, really nice feeling crown. I feel like that's the perfect size really for this watch. And of course we have that really nice bezel, and this looks like a ceramic bezel potentially here. What does it say on the side? Yeah, ceramic insert on the bezel. Always looks better than the aluminium ones. Reportedly, this has got some decent BGW X1 lume as well. We'll test that at the end. And atop here, we have a sapphire crystal. And this one has a slight dome to it, as you can see, but has very good clarity actually. Now on some of the recent highly reviewed San Martin watches, including that one that finished I think 3rd on my top watches of the year list, the slight drawback that one had, which was a flat crystal at the time I think, was it had some definite haze to it, whereas I don't know what the coating is applied to this or whether it's just because it's domed or something, but this one's really, really clear. This is not far off a mineral crystal in terms of clarity, which is good, but it means that you can get a really good view of this dial beneath, and I'm not sure the effect fully comes across on camera, you know, it is quite impressive. As for dimensions, well, I'm keen to find out, because you can tell I've got quite small hands, and this watch still looks relatively compact, but yeah, it is bang on 40 millimeters, so they weren't lying. The lug to lug, if you measure the actual lug to lug, about 44.8 millimeters, so relatively short. And it really depends if you want to include those end links or not, because as you can see, they do stick out a little bit, even though they're not fixed in place. I guess with them, it would be still under 50 mil, and they are at quite a steep angle. Thickness though does look quite impressive, even with what is a relatively high dome on the crystal. It's 11.6 millimeters. If you were to discount that, it would be just a hair over 10, getting about 10.2. That's pretty skinny for a bezeled watch like this, and overall certainly looks thinner than a 10 mil watch, I'd say. And it's a shame about that remnant on the dial, because I think this is pretty handsome actually. One of the best looking San Martins over the last couple of years for sure. Really nice shape to it. Definitely wears a tiny bit smaller, I'd say. Closer to a typical 39mm watch, I think. And I've definitely tried out some 39mm watches recently, such as the really attractive Yema chronograph. And this watch, for whatever reason, maybe it's the smaller dial, it definitely looks smaller than those on wrist. Now, this watch also comes in a bunch of other colours too. I think it's 4 colours in total. So aside from this, there's like a green one, which has also got quite a harsh contrast on it, a red orange, and then more of a typical grey black. And at the default price, at the time of recording this video, at least on AliExpress, most of them are hovering around the £300 mark, depending on the listing. But as is often the case on AliExpress, you'll almost certainly be able to find some sort of discount code to take that below 300. And it does have a questionable RRP listed here. And they're trying some Invicta tactics because it says here that the RRP for this piece is 538, which definitely can't be true, surely. Can't recall almost any AliExpress watch with specs like this costing that much. But yeah, I'll leave any discount codes that I do have in the video description, and we try to keep these descriptions up to date as well because the codes do kind of expire and that. But I'd be surprised if you couldn't get this for under $290, to be honest, as long as you were shopping at the right time of year and made use of a code. I'll do a quick crystal check and then we'll take a look at the low light performance as well, eh? So as our control piece, I have this pretty nice Man Hudson dive watch that I first got my hands on a few years ago. And we know this one has a sapphire crystal, so we should be looking like 4 bars on this diamond selector tool. And yeah, that's exactly what we get. So that confirms that this is indeed sapphire. And we should get something similar with this San Martin, hopefully. And yeah, just about. Does feel like it's getting maybe a tiny bit of a lower score there, but it should still be sapphire. Mineral crystal tends not to give any results whatsoever on this thing. And it's funny, really, because this man watch is 38mm, whereas this one on the right is 40mm. And they look basically identical in terms of size, don't they? I mean, if anything, maybe the one on the right looks smaller. It does show that on paper, numbers aren't everything. Now, San Martin watches have always had pretty good low light performance, and this new X1 lume compound gives this one the same level of performance. Very, very bright under my UV torch, almost clipping the camera, but let's see with that out. And yeah, we get a really nice amount of initial brightness there. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, the bezel on this watch, especially now seeing it under low light, it really reminds me of that Erebus dive watch. The layout and like the size of everything, it looks very, very similar. Not exactly the same, but for sure comparable. And that one had good lume too. But yeah, you'll definitely have no problems with this San Martin in low light, that's for sure. So there's your first look at this new Diver Sports Hybrid, the SNO 148 from San Martin. I also saw on their site a 37mm version, I think. Not sure whether that's the regular size for the standard bracelet version or not. But yeah, I might be interested in taking a look at that one. Just a shame that this particular unit has got that debris inside it. And in fact, that debris has now shifted down to here. Maybe I could try and get it to fall down the date wheel, perhaps. Get rid of it for good. And it's frustrating because it looks like that happened at the very final step, because there don't seem to be any other noticeable problems here at all. I wonder if that got introduced with the crystal. There's still room for improvement on the QC department for sure. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think in the comments section below about the whole integrated version and then standard version of a watch like this. You know, is this what every sports watch should be offered in? But if you do want to check this watch out for yourself, you'll find a link to it in the video description.